everyone. Thank you all so much for coming out today. I'm Kelly Dufour, the Voting and Elections Manager at Common Cause Ohio. Joining me today is Ted Linscott, the Southeast Central Labor Council President of the Ohio AFL-CIO, and Reverend Peter Galbraith with the First Presbyterian Church. We're so glad to be here today in Athens with so many fellow democracy advocates. Thank you all for coming. Common Cause Ohio works across the state with other nonpartisan groups, advocating for voters and ensuring fair and accessible elections. We have joined with 240 organizations representing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Ohioans, and we're here today going voter to voter to make sure every Ohioan understands what's at stake on August 8th. Issue 1 is an attempt by state legislative leaders to convince Ohioans to give up our power to change the Ohio Constitution. Issue 1 is a direct threat to majority rule. Backed by more than 110 years of history, the citizen-led ballot initiative is the tool to combat the abuse of power, and they know it. The Citizen Initiative was established in 1912 by voters as a way for Ohioans to hold corrupt politicians accountable. Last year, the state legislature and the Ohio Redistricting Commission repeatedly created unconstitutional, gerrymandered maps, and Ohio voted on those manipulated maps. This spring, former Speaker Larry Householder was found guilty in the state's largest public corruption scandal. We really need the ability to take concerns directly to the ballot now more than ever. And we are so engaged and we're so mobilized right now across the state, especially here in Athens. In the last 3 weeks, I've personally been in contact with 230 Ohioans from 34 different counties, and many of you are here today, I'm sure. We've distributed 85,000 flyers already and 25,000 pledge cards urging people to vote no in August. Those hundreds of people are connecting with thousands of their neighbors each day, every week, out in community festivals and local events, making sure Ohioans know that they have a right to bring their issues to the ballot, especially when they feel their government is not working for them. Voting no on issue 1 is a vote to protect our rights and the sacred principle of one person, one vote. It will stop special interests from ending majority rule, and it will protect our freedom to determine our future. Like all Ohioans, I didn't expect an August election. Last year, the state legislature actually eliminated these, but now they're trying to consolidate their power and take ours away during a low turnout, underfunded election. And why are the legislative leaders in Columbus so intent on taking our power away? Their power, pure and simple. When politicians fail us, the ballot issue gives us the freedom to make decisions that affect our lives. So we are here today and we're asking you all to do a few things. We would like you to join our fight to protect majority rule at votenoinaugust.org. We hope that you can promise to contact people today, maybe 5 people, and tell them about the special election in August. Tell them majority rule is at stake. Encourage them to make a plan to vote and get them to pledge that they will reach out to 5 of their friends. Then between now and August 8th, we hope you will knock on as many doors and make as many calls as possible to make sure Ohioans are mobilized, energized, and have the tools they need to make their vote their voice. Let's demonstrate the true people power and turn out the vote on August 8th to say no to this attack on our direct democracy. Thank you. There are lots of materials in the back also. I would now like to introduce Ted Linscott, the Southeast Central Labor Council President of the Ohio AFL-CIO. Thank you so much.
Thank you. She's going to be a tough act to follow there. She's very eloquent. And, I was given some talking points of which, I probably rarely ever follow those. So I wrote down some of my own, and it's 3 pages, but please rest assured that it's very large grandpa font, so it's okay. We're going to be all right. I got to start off a little bit by being the local boy here in the room, or one of the local boys here in the room, that we've got elected officials here today, and I'd really like to acknowledge their presence here. I've got Lenny Eliason and Lisa Eliason. Lenny's one of the county commissioners, and Lisa's the city law director. We've got Sean Parsons here with who is the Athens Dem Party chair. and he's on the Athens City School Board. We've got Athens City Council member Chris Knisley's here. I saw Chris here. To the treasurer, Rick Wasserman. And we got retired Judge Grimm here. I saw him here, and thank you for your years of service. And then as well, we got Solveig Spellness, that is one of the city council members, as well as Alan Swank, a city council member. And I'm sure I've forgotten somebody, and I'm probably, whenever you start listing off a list of names, you're going to offend somebody that you forgot. But but thank you all for being here today. Like I said, I'm Ted Linscott. I'm president of the Southeast Ohio chapter of the AFL-CIO, called Central Labor Council. We represent Athens, Meigs, Washington, Morgan, Noble, and Gallia counties. I'm a third-generation bricklayer and a 45-year member of Athens Local 52, Ohio, as well as a sixth-generation Athens County resident. I stand here today, 45 years later, with my proudest title that I have of all, a retired union bricklayer, on a pension. I tell you that everyday working people strongly oppose issue 1, and we're going to vote no in this August 8th special election. Like Kelly said, over 110 years ago, Ohio voters have had the freedom and the right to put constitutional amendments directly on the ballot with a simple majority. Simple majority vote. Isn't that an interesting concept? It's kind of the basis of what we're all about, isn't it? The rules for this process have been tried and tested over the years, and while it's still by no means easy, common everyday working people in any group can still cry bullshit with a simple majority rule vote. Yeah. And it's polarizing. That's a lot of pressure. I'm speaking before a preacher, and please forgive me.
You haven't heard me talk yet.
Okay. And as polarized as our politics has become, that's still not easy to get a 50% plus one. We need to preserve the sacred principle of one person, one vote. Simply put, majority rule. Our society thrives on this concept, and in fact our government, as well as unions, and the union I belong to, base our whole organizational structures on this very premise. We need to empower and encourage Ohio voters on taking action against corrupt politicians, special interests, and those that thrive on injustice. These people think everyday working Ohioans are not paying attention. They want to tip the scale once again to take our rights away. This way they can get what they want and consolidate all the power just to the privileged few. We working people lose this power struggle when faced with convoluted, unnecessary, expensive, and frankly unfair rules for change. Issue 1 gives just 40%, or 4 out of 10 voters, the ability to block the majority. 4 out of 10. I don't understand that math. Again, we're going to vote no on August 8th against issue 1. We need to protect the theory of majority rule. This is the democratic way. Now, I hear issue 1 as an attempt to block the possible amendment concerning women's productive rights, and I agree that that's what this is all about. But that's not why I'm here. Okay, I'm here because issue 1 is like using a nuclear bomb to blow out a house fire. It might be effective, but there's going to be a lot of collateral damage and a lot of unintended consequences. So what would be next? Issue 1, unnecessary, undemocratic, unprecedented, and simply unfair. Oh yeah, let me add one more. It's hypocritical as hell. Just a few months ago, these same people thought that August special elections were an unnecessary and a waste of taxpayer dollars. But it served their purpose for what they're wanting to get done. So they changed the rules again and said, okay, August elections are okay. They're okay now. Again, this is proof that this is underhanded. They think we're asleep and not noticing. Unions across the state recently have been working in a bipartisan fashion at all levels of government to spur massive job creation and economic development, and it's working. But now we're united in the collective voice of all workers, union and non-union, to defeat SU1. This is important, especially now so much opportunity is in front of us. We believe SU1 is unnecessary and divisive. It does not serve everyday working people. Clear back in 1893, Samuel Gompers, who was the very first president of the AFL-CIO, when he was asked, what does labor want? He very shortly and succinctly summed it up with words that are as true today as they've ever been. We want more schoolhouses and less jails. More books, less arsenals. More learning, less vice. More consistent work opportunity and less crime. More leisure and less greed. More justice and less revenge. In fact, more of the opportunities to cultivate our better natures. But today I'm going to add to that. The Ohio AFL-CIO would like you to add more collaboration and less conflict.
Right on.
Okay. We didn't pick this fight, but we'll stand arm in arm with our allies and fight for our rights in this state. And we're going to defeat issue 1 with a no vote on August the 8th. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That was fantastic. Next up, we have Reverend Peter Galbraith from First Presbyterian Church. Say a few words. Thank you.
Well, Ted, that's very difficult to follow, even for a preacher. Maybe Mr. Following, actually. Yes, I'm Peter Galbraith. I am from First Presbyterian Church in Nelsonville, Ohio, and I was asked to speak on behalf of the faith community regarding this issue. Yes, if I can maybe get some volume. Hello? Is it better?
No.
Closer to me. Thank you. Thank you. So I was asked to speak on behalf of the faith community. And so I'm just, of course, one voice of one faith community, of which there are many. And I happen to come from a particular tradition. And I've learned more about that since I've gone to seminary and since I've been a part of this church for 12 years. And just to give a little plug, Presbyterians have been involved with this kind of stuff for a long time. And I'm very proud of that particular heritage. And what we're about is the dignity of human welfare. The sense that everyone, despite your creed or your faith or your personal backgrounds or belief, deserves to be counted, deserves to be upheld. We, in the gospel tradition, put a premium on also defending the rights of those who are least heard, the poor, those who are marginalized. And one of the things that looking at this issue that spoke to me and was brought to my attention is this idea of special interest groups versus the ability for most of us as ordinary Ohioans to be able to actively engage in our agency, which is the power to vote and the power to have our voice counted, one person, one vote. This all dovetails into our personal values, our commitments, and religious values tap into those deep personal values as well. And it's important. This is not something I do every day. I've never done something quite like this to this extent in my pastoral career, but it's important because the church sometimes can be on the sidelines a little bit, wondering if we should just be concerned with spiritual matters and not matters that affect our daily living, our public sphere, life in the public square, our workplaces. And we need to be vocal when things threaten who we are and our sense of dignity, which this issue, I believe, does. So, Obviously, we've heard 2 impassioned speeches to come against issue 1. But I would just add that this is a moral issue. This is something to dig deep within ourselves about our dearly held values. And if you are someone who goes to church or synagogue or some kind of faith community, to also talk about these things. How do they relate to our faith? Where is our collective action rooted? And begin to bring this about in our conversations in our faith communities. So our brief statement of faith in the Presbyterian Heritage says that we are called to hear the voices of people's long silence. And that is an incredibly difficult task to engage in. But this is what we're doing today. We are trying to take back our voices. We're trying to stand up to moneyed interests that are, for various reasons, maybe in some ways people feel they're very justified, but doing it, in my sense, in the wrong way. To trust our sense of democracy and being able to, yes, make decisions by simple majority. Yeah. And not fear that whatever our agendas are, that we have to do it in some kind of circumvented way in order to get our own ways and our own power and our own means to be achieved. To trust our community. To understand that, yes, we're going to disagree, and to accept when we lose, but to try harder in a democratic way to promote our views and let them be out into the marketplace and people vote on them. This is just an incredible pillar, and we see it around the country that some of this is being eroded away. So, on behalf of the faith community, one voice, one simple pastor who's saying, let's be aware and let's come together and let's tap in to our sense of human dignity and values, whatever tradition that you come from, because a lot is at stake. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you so much. That was great.